Okay, so if you were just listening to the previous video, you know that I wanted to talk about my plans for this thing. It's my buddy and I that I want to get land with are both into weapons and guns and what forth, and this is what I would like to build on the border of our lands as like a shared thing. It would start with digging out a giant fucking hole. Big hole. Okay. I want a room. The room needs to be at least 20 by 40. At least. In the subterranean portion. Which we'll get to that. But we're going to dig that out, put a wood floor, and build, you know, wooden interior walls, but then build the exterior as like an earthen construction, sandbag bunker kind of a thing, dirt hill, kind of a like at the end of all of this, it's going to be covered in dirt and have grass growing out of it. No one's ever going to know it's there. Have some sort of a hidden entrance, right? Have a solar array somewhere that has a hidden line that feeds into it that powers a bunch of shit, including air conditioning and electric heat, because it's going to be climate controlled and whatever. And it's going to be like it's going to be like a cabin on the inside. But it's going to be, like I said, I think a 20 by 40 room makes sense, and we'll get to why. But we need areas for gun storage. We need a dojo kind of an area, a like gunsmithing workbench kind of an area. A couple of other things like that, and then like I want to have a place built into it that is like a two at least a two-person movie theater. Maybe like have two chairs and a couch kind of a thing with a big ass TV with an Amazon Fire thing that has YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, whatever the fuck you want to watch. Just the internet is at your fingertips over there. Like have like just like the ultimate like hangout shack kind of a thing. Like this is just, you know, it's my envisioning of like if you could do anything, this is what I would do. Like Joe Rogan's fucking studio, like that. This would be my studio. I would have a section of it where my laptop would be, and I would go to do my thing, and like you would be able to smoke weed in there, weed or cigars or anything you fucking wanted to, like. And like that's the thing is, oh well, the weed and cigar smoke will hurt the guns. No, it won't. If it does, that's tragic. But like my thought is to have like rifle racks on the fucking walls, like rifle and sword racks, and other like I have a bunch of random shit that is like spears and shields and you know swords and whatever. Like have places for all of that shit, all of my stuff, all of my buddy's stuff, and all of anything else that we accumulate or whatever. And then like maybe in your cabin that's like your home, you have like a rifle and a handgun or something like that. But like hidden out in the woods is this like giant fucking bunker that only he and I would have keys to, with the entrance is hidden to. That's you know I would build it to where it was underground, and it looked like a weird hill in the forest kind of a thing. I don't know how all of that would be done, but like it wouldn't be like a blast proof bunker. Like it would be, some sandbags and shit and have dirt over it. It'd be better than nothing. And like if it started raining fire outside, it would be a safe place to be. That's my goal. for whatever reason. Like if there was a forest fire, I would want it to be safe. So I'm going to build it kind of that way, at least to as much of an extent as possible. And my thought is connected onto this, you do like an outdoor area, right? That is like a fire pit area, maybe a basketball court, something like that. I don't know what you'd want to do. The basketball court, I think, is easy and fun. You know, you do a concrete basketball court and a fire pit kind of a thing. What you'd have the cost of buying the basketball hoops, but like you could just get poles and put them up or whatever. Like, I don't know. I had to think about that. And really, do you need a full court or do you just want like a half court with a hoop? That's what I think I would do. I'd do like a fire pit on one end and then have like a half court with a basketball hoop. And then like if you need to do anything outside, that is an area to do that in. Like a half basketball court slash fire pit area is going to be a big concrete pad. And then on top of that, uh, there would be a path to the pistol range at least. That you could just walk over there and shoot shit. I would imagine that we're gonna have some place to shoot rifles set up that's like the longest fucking shot across both of our land possible. So there probably won't be a way to easily walk to that. However, I think a 25-yard dirt berm pistol range is probably something that we're gonna have. So it will be in close proximity to this. And really, we're going to have to dig a big hole to get a dirt berm to shoot into. My thoughts. We dig that dirt out of the fucking hole to put the bunker into. Like we dig a hell of a hole. And like we may even have to hire people to do that shit. Because like really if you did dig a hole big enough to put a 20 by 40 room half underground and then bury the rest like a hobbit home, that's that's a lot of dirt moving. But that would definitely give us enough dirt to make a berm to shoot into, I would think. We're gonna need some dirt to like fill sandbags and build the roof and cover the whole thing. And my thought is on that is you build the roof correctly to where shit runs off of it and you make it out of metal backed with some sort of modern plastic shit. And then on top of that, you do a layer of sandbags filled with real sand so water and shit just runs off, it doesn't accumulate. You kind of make a dome of that kind of shit. And then on top of that, you do a layer of dirt and gravel and shit. And then on top of that, you either do sod or sprinkle a bunch of grass seeds. It really wouldn't fucking matter which. Grass, you know? And I don't know how I would do an entrance. I'm not really going to talk about that on here because, like, that's trade secrets, right? Honestly, for convenience sake, it would probably be a door that you walk in. Okay. Like, I don't know how else we'd really do that. And like this thing isn't gonna be that, hidden or whatever, really. Like if it has a basketball court, it won't be that hidden, I guess. But this is my thought. I want to build something like this that is like a secured room where we keep that kind of stuff for the most part. Because like I have my own personal weapons and stuff that I'll have on me in my house for sure. But like I kind of envision this as being like I'm going to spend most of my free time that I'm not doing shit that I don't want to do, probably in this bunker slash smoke room. Okay. Like I'd like to have a workbench in there capable of doing most things. Basically, I'd like to have the ability to have a normal house and have a full on project area where we keep all the guns. And I think it makes sense to have like an armory, basically. That's what this is. So that's what I'm describing here, really, is a semi subterranean armory. Mm. Slash movie theater. I'm like, that's the part that would be cool. Like, imagine smoking out and watching Red Dawn in a room just chock full of fucking guns. You could fondle any of them. And like, the way I am with guns, in case anyone ever wanted to know, every gun has a loaded magazine, every gun has an empty chamber all the time, pretty much. When I leave the house and I'm wearing a gun on my body, you know, then I would chamber around. Otherwise, all the guns have empty fucking chambers, loaded magazines, and I treat them as such. That's how I stay safe. I think it's a good way to be. I don't think there's any reason to keep rounds chambered for the most part. Like, if it's going to be a gun that, like I said, is on your body, that makes a difference. If it's a gun that's sitting somewhere, you have to go and get it. Well, honey, you can just fucking go and get it and chamber it. It's like going to get it takes more effort than chambering it by a lot. That's my thoughts. I want a sign on the door to this place that says like no bitches or something. Like, we don't tell women this place exists. Like, where do you go in the daytime? Oh, you know, someplace. And I won't tell boyfriends either. Like, it would just be people that had keys to this kind of a thing, and maybe if the two people that had keys to it agreed that, hey, this person was cool, or like, hey, this person is my grandpa or my uncle or something, maybe they get to come. But like, I want blood. That's like the way that it's the way that I feel about my friend is like he and I are like blood for whatever reason. Like, neither one of us trust very many people and we trust each other more than most. One of those kind of things. Like, I don't, trust that Sam doesn't have his own motivations or whatever. I somewhat understand all of Sam's motivations because they're very close to mine and vice versa. Basically, God and nature are kind of all in one. Like, to be in nature is to worship God, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever had that discussion with him, but based on everything else we've ever done, I would assume he agrees. Like, I don't really believe in going to church. I live in a church. Okay, I have several big trees around me. That's as close as I get to being in a fucking church. That's not like an issue with God or anything. That's an issue with people. I just don't care for groups of people because I've seen many, many groups of people way, way up close and personal in all of their fucking details, and like all of them suck. My friend and I met through YouTube way, way back in the day, and honestly, best friendship I've ever had. And the reason I say that is like we're very similar people on a lot of levels, but like totally different on a lot of levels. And I think we help keep each other kind of centered on paths and shit. And like the thing that I want out of life is my own land and cabin and to be left alone to do my own projects. That's that's all I want. And like as a result, nothing but that really matters. Like I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to do whatever. Like I could pretty easily probably figure out some sort of way to go torture myself for a couple of years, make a couple $100,000 and just go and do this. But like what is the adventure in that? It's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to figure out how to get the money. Like my ultimate goal is to own 2 acres of land. That's not that much land. And I'm hoping that my buddy buys like more acres and that it's his and I land connected because that would be awesome. But like in reality, for me, I I'm happy with the land I'm on right now, and it's way smaller than 2 acres. And if I was out in the country, I would need more land for like a solar array and some animals and whatnot. But like 2 acres would be roughly 4 to 5 times the amount of land that I have now. I think I'd be good. I don't know. Again, like this is also assuming that there's some shared land and access to some woods and that kind of shit. Like I don't want to live on 2 acres in the middle of the city, you know. But if I'm on 2 acres next to my buddy's 10 acres or 5 acres or whatever, and we're in the middle of a whole bunch of people that are like farmers or some shit, ranchers, like that's a lot more what I'm looking for. 'Cause like when it comes to like going and exploring and shit, we can just go do that. We can hop in the van and go places. It would be nice to have, your own land to go and do that on, but like that costs money. And I'm really just looking to have like a house and blacksmith shop and maybe a barn. When I say a barn, I mean like a small barn. I don't really know all the details of that, but and that would be the thing that would complicate this too. Is like my blacksmith shop. It would need to be adjacent to this thing. Like the way that I would set this up would be like there's the bunker smoke room kind of thing, right? And then there's a path from it to the range, and there's a path from it to the basketball court slash fire pit, and there's a path from uh, the smokehouse thing to the blacksmith shop, hopefully. And maybe there's a workbench in there, right, with like a Dremel tool and that kind of shit, and like a gunsmith bench kind of thing. But in the blacksmithing shop, there's stuff that can be used for gunsmithing too, but it's bigger and messier. So like I want to be able to go and use that, but it doesn't need to be a part of this. But it would inform the design of the gunsmithing area because like the blacksmith shop basically can't be air conditioned. You know, there's parts of it that you could move into the air conditioning, but most of those would qualify as some sort of gunsmithing kind of stuff that could be done at that bench, in my opinion. So as a result, it necessitates having two buildings, in my estimation. And the cool part is about doing this semi-subterranean thing. This is super cheap, super cheap. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of elbow grease, but like he and I would have fun doing this, especially if we paid someone else to like come in and do a backhoe to dig the hole. I don't know exactly how we would do, everything in the hole. Like I'd probably want that hole like lined with gravel before we build the wood floor, something like that, or I say it, maybe pour a concrete slab, something like that. But I wouldn't want just that. I want to have a wood floor that is like a wood floor with a throw rug on it or something. Maybe I don't know, something nice. As far as the walls, like I don't give a fuck. Pine board, like I don't want to use fucking wall board anywhere. And that's not a we need to have a fucking rustic log cabin. Fuck no, that's I don't want to have to fix walls. And like I bump into things, I fall down, you know, carry rifles in houses. Like I damage wallboard. I'm tired of fixing it. So I'm thinking like at least in the smoke room, it's just fucking like pine board on a fucking wall with like some Minwax on it or some shit. Like go for kind of a rustic vibe so we just don't have to take care of it. A pool table or a card table or something like that would be dope too. Pool table's a lot of money. Card table's cheap as fuck. We could do all that shit in there though. And this is why I'm saying like we need a 20 by 40 room or bigger. Is it's gonna take some effort to do this no matter what. And we're gonna want room in there to do more things eventually. And basically what we're building is a underground air conditioned heated box that's solar powered. So that's my goal is I want to have a big enough solar array and system that's dedicated for this thing to where it will keep the armory climate controlled at all times. So we can keep fucking ammunition in there and that kind of shit, like food storage maybe even could be in here. Like this would be a useful thing to have this thing just done like this. And this is what I want to do to have some place to smoke already. And like we can build other shit later. And like as we do, like, we want to build a pantry of some sort or whatever. Or you build a big house that has a pantry and you want to move your food storage out, you can do that. Okay. Or you build a big safe room or something, you can move your guns out or whatever. This is my plan though, and I think it would be dope, just to build this in between our two lands and like have this all linked up so we don't have to build it twice. Because like in reality, you and I would probably almost never fucking see each other there if there was all that shit to do. I don't know. Or we could have a couple of different areas in there too, split it off into some rooms. That would be dope too. Have a video game room and like a YouTube room or something, a podcasting room. And like that's why I said or bigger. Like we can make this as big as we want. It's a hole dug in the ground that we're gonna, make a sheet metal roof for. That I have plans. I don't know. I'm gonna look at how we need to do this roof wise, but I want to have a roof that is dirt and like I don't know if we should make some place to sleep there, but there'll always be the couch. I guess that would be have like you know a nice couch where someone could stay the night or something maybe. I wouldn't want to use it as a guest room though. But like if my uncle stayed or your grandpa stayed or some shit like that, Like that would be, they could stay in there. Family again, because there's gonna be too much valuable shit in there. I don't know. I'm weird. I'd probably have a string of stuff at my place and in this place, and I bet you would be the same way. There'd be stuff left all over. It would be cool to have an armory though that was where most of the shit was supposed to be. You know, and if something's missing that you need to use it, you're like, hey, do you have this or whatever? But like, I doubt very much that you and I would, take each other's shit home at all. To be honest, although you do have a couple of like rifles that I painted or whatever over the years that like it's nice to fondle shit like that again. He has one of my favorite builds I ever did. He had both of them at one point. They were guns that I did in the lead up to the Loki build. That one has a metal lower and one has a Cav arms lower, and they're both painted gray. They both had carbon fiber rails on them. That gun is how I would build an AR. The one that he has in particular is the metal lowered one, which I did a LWRC ultra compact stock on, and a 14.5 pin and weld with a Surefire flash hider. So it's a nice little short boy. I was trying to make it as small as I could. When I went to the Cav arms lower, that kind of went out the window, and like it's much cheaper really to do a 16-inch and kind of better. Like there's really no advantage to the 14.5. It's, if anything, a shittier barrel. You're giving up speed. I don't like. I like the mid length. Um, the mid length 16-inch barrel, I think, is pretty much the perfect balance of stuff on an AR-15. You could say the 20-inch, but it's kind of long. I don't really see much that you couldn't do with the 16. My only issue with the 14.5 really is that you have to do the pin and weld, and then that costs money, and you're only doing that for legalities, and that sucks. Anyway, uh, as for the rest of that, you know, room, it's a blank canvas. We could do whatever we wanted. I'd like to have like the walls of the place be like a museum mixed with an art gallery. It's just like cool shit on the walls between weapons and pieces of like historic kit and whatever that we get at gun shows and whatever. And fucking, I've got a giant poster that's, all the cartridges ever made pretty much. It's in a nice frame. Put that somewhere. I got a couple pictures of John Wayne, a couple cool pictures of airplanes, a bunch of patches, a couple of cool clocks, that kind of shit. Just have like the ultimate, like, I want the ultimate Sherlock Holmes study. So we're going to build, but like buried in the woods of America somewhere. I don't really know where this is going to be yet. There's a hot debate about that and whether or not people get to know. The other thing would be cool to get like a hell of a security system thing on it or something too. Like have it to where like, if it's not you or I that goes in there, like it's not like explosions or whatever, but have like speakers in the woods and sirens and lights and fucking like the second the doors open, you know. My thought is keep this shit safe and have the ultimate place to enjoy it. It's like what I'm proposing to you is that we build a gun safe that we can smoke in. That's what I should really call this video. That's what I'm going to call the next video. I talk about this. It's a gun safe that you can smoke in. That's great. Anyway, tell me what you think. Is this a good idea? I think it's going to be great. I think, especially if we did it where like I had half, he had half. Fuck, that would be pretty awesome. Except, I think it would be cooler to build it together. Because, like, I know he's going to dig all my cool shit on the walls or whatever, and he's going to want to, like, watch movies and stuff together at some point in the fucking cool ass bunker we've built. I would hope, like, I want to do that anyway. It would be dope to, smoke cigars and watch fucking Predator in a giant subterranean room of guns. This just sounds like a good plan to me. A gun safe that you can smoke in. On that note, I'll leave you. Thanks for watching.